So we had the phone call. Let's do it chronologically. We had the phone call with Winston Peters.
Yep, we've spoken.
Yep. How was he?
Oh, good spirits, yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, ultimately that conversation was all about lining up those preliminary talks. I share the same view as Mr. Peters that the special votes matter enormously. There are 380,000 votes that we're still waiting on. So any conversations we're having both with the Greens and New Zealand First are really in preparation while we wait for those votes to be counted, and so we can move quickly in the aftermath.
And let's dig down a little bit into why those special votes are so important. At the moment, a Labour, Green, New Zealand First coalition has 61,
yes,
a majority of one. In your view, is that enough?
Oh, certainly I think we'd want to be in a more comfortable position. It's enough to undertake those negotiations, absolutely.
But not enough to govern.
You would want a more comfortable majority. That is true.
So
but I won't preclude ourselves from those negotiations regardless. But I do have a bit of an expectation that the specials will change the way that the seats are allocated.
So it's not really enough. It's technically enough to govern, but I think we can read and hear what you're saying, that it's not really enough to make it a stable reality at 61.
I think most leaders would want some comfort that the majority that they hold will withstand, for instance, the loss of MPs.
Yeah, a by-election had to be all over, wouldn't it?
Indeed. Most leaders would seek that.
So
but what I'm saying, it doesn't preclude us having those conversations, but the specials do matter.
So really, it's game over if there aren't extra seats to the left on the specials, eh?
Now, I'm not the only one having those conversations, but certainly as leader I would be seeking additional comfort beyond 61.
So that's why it matters, isn't it? Because people
it also matters because it's democracy, and 380,000 votes is 15% of the total votes. And that's significant.
Yeah, and it was 300,000 in 2014.
It was, 350. So an extra 50,000
this time.
So it is an increase, but even then, those votes matter, and so I do think it's important that we wait for them to come in. But again, we're on a relatively tight time frame here. I think everyone's expectation is that we move as quickly and as responsibly as we can to form stable, durable coalition talks.
Yeah.
And so that means for us getting that preliminary work done, but being ready to hit the ground running after Saturday.
So it's pretty much not a reality at 61, but it would be at 62?
What I'm saying is I'm seeking additional comfort beyond that range. But again, 61 still enables us to have those talks, to still be in the frame. Both parties are looking at slim majorities, no matter what way you cut it.
Well, National New Zealand First isn't a slim majority, though, is it? I mean, on current numbers, it'd get you to, what, about 65, 66?
Yeah, but you look at all our past negotiations. National has relied on another party to pass every single piece of legislation.
Yeah, but not on confidence and supply, though, eh? Like, as you've intimated, and I can hear what you're saying, I know what you're saying. You're saying that for a confidence and supply to be, to be at 61, you lose a by-election, the whole government falls, so...
Yeah, and as I'm saying, additional confidence, in these talks would be helpful. But also, every government we've had in the last 3 terms has required the support of another party, even to pass the budget. And so this is the reality now of MMP in these arrangements. The confidence and supply is incredibly important. Having those no surprises clauses and pretty trusting relationships is not new for New Zealand and the governments that have been formed in the last 3 to 4 elections.
When we spoke last, I think it was, and we did an extended interview before the election, and we discussed the expectation. Well, your words were that there was an expectation from the public that the largest party would be the party to lead the government.
But I went on in the next sentence to say, but it's not a given in an MMP that be the case.
But I wanted to focus on, because I don't think that I don't think I'm quoting you out of context. You did go on to say that.
Yep.
I acknowledge that. But I'm just interested in the public expectation. That is still your view, that the public expects that the largest party would form
I think that has been an expectation in the past. We're seeing that play out now. But that at the same time, there have been very different sets of circumstances in the past as well. Because also it's just been impossible for another bloc really to have been formed. This is a pretty unique electoral outcome that we're dealing with. We've got one particular party that's holding a larger share of the vote, but they still can't govern without an agreement or the support of a party that has essentially said that they're going to work to try and make sure that they get the best outcomes possible based on the voting platform they went to the election with. And so that places both parties in the position to negotiate.
This talk of the National Party and the Green Party forming some alliance and governing in that arrangement, what do you think of that?
Look, I've certainly had relayed to me, because as I said, the Greens and Labour are working informally to prepare for negotiations. So conversations have been had, that their expectation is still a focus on changing the government.
Yeah. Have they ruled out to you aligning with National?
Oh, look, that's not a conversation or a decision for me. That is for them. But they have certainly relayed to me that their expectation and their focus is on changing the government.
Have you had discussions with the Greens about how the two of you might manage any negotiations with Winston Peters? I'm just wondering to what degree have you and the Green Party lined anything up?
Yeah, at this stage, really, we're in very similar tracks with both parties. My focus as party leader is to undertake negotiations independently with both parties. Certainly, that is, as I've said, well underway with the Greens and starting now, obviously, with New Zealand First. My hope is that we as the major party in those coalition talks, that we will undertake those talks separately, but at least have a good understanding of the expectations both parties hold when we're talking with one another.
Bill English expressed doubts yesterday that the October 12 deadline that Winston Peters had set himself was achievable. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, there's nothing wrong with working towards that deadline, but there is no hard and fast reason why they must be concluded by then. I do appreciate, though, Mr. Peters' ambition to at least move as quickly as we can. I think the population will appreciate that, people will appreciate that as well. But there is no reason why they have to conclude by then, other than, of course, it's in our best interests if we move quickly to form stable, durable coalition government.
Just finally, some have put forward the argument that suggests that, or questions how hard you should try, given the fact that you've only just got, maybe one or maybe two seats in it, and that having recovered Labour from a perilous position, you should build on that and go for next time. What is you must have heard that strand of argument coming forward. What is your response?
Two things I'd say to that. At any given time, National operated with one or two, depending on which party on any particular issue chose to support them. So that is not new. And and to respond though to your wider point, I have an absolute responsibility. We campaigned to be in government. We campaigned for change. The idea that I would simply preserve my political or Labour's political position for long-term expediency is simply wrong. When I look out around me at the issues we campaigned on, there is incredible need in New Zealand for change now. This is not about making a decision just about the politics. This is about changing people's lives for the better, and that is what I'm focused on in these negotiations.
All right, well, good luck with them, and we'll talk to you again, probably with the same questions next time.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, so do I. Thank you very much for your time. That's Labour leader Jacinda Ardern.